It's episode 104 of the Improv London podcast. I'm your host, Stuart Moses, and this week's guest is Monica Gaga. I said it wrong.
No, it's fine. It's fine. That is my name. You put emphasis elsewhere. It's fine.
No, I'm going to get the emphasis right.
No, it's Gaga, but like Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Like
I said Gaga.
No, but it's fine.
No, it's wrong.
But it is. That is true. It isn't truly my name, but Gaga. But still, it is like Monica Gaga. It sounds as if, like, I don't know, you're asking a question. Monica Gaga.
I think we should play the introduction music. Welcome to the Improv London podcast, Monica Gaga. I feel that I should apologise before we start. I have had a drink.
Do you know what? You're a consenting adult. You can choose to do what you do.
Thank you.
Oh, that sounded really passive aggressive, didn't it? If that's how you want to live your life, I'm not one to judge. I love the way Stuart Moses is genuinely just falling apart with joy. This is fabulous.
I'm enjoying this already.
Oh dear.
Well, generally, I do enjoy making this podcast. And
I'm glad.
Yes, because it'd be awful if I hated it. Can you imagine? Why would you carry on doing it if you really...
Maybe in some kind of like weird kind of just like a punishment towards yourself, like, I don't deserve good things, so I'm gonna make it's like a penance. 1,000 lashes, no, 1,000 podcasts as punishment.
So I'm not only punishing myself, I'm punishing everybody that listens.
They're enjoying it.
Well, I hope so.
I can't speak for every listener.
Well, hopefully, if they're not enjoying it, they should stop listening. That's very much what I suggest. If you're not enjoying this, I'm really sorry you're not enjoying it, but just stop listening.
Or maybe they want to punish themselves as well. I will listen to 1,000 podcasts on topics that I have no knowledge on, but do not want to gain any knowledge on.
Well, don't worry, you won't gain any knowledge listening to this podcast.
Woo woo! Preach, sister, preach. Oh dear.
How are you?
I'm really good. It's a very warm day.
It is a very warm day.
But I'm not going to complain. The only thing that reminds me when it's really warm, my family's from Ghana, which is in West Africa. When it's really hot and I can't handle it, I always just think, what if I was born in Africa? I'll be absolutely fudged. But people keep saying, no, you're acclimatised. But I'm like, I'm not sure if I would. Because we've only had a couple of days of summer and I'm really suffering. Am I even African? Who knows? Maybe I should do one of those blood tests and it'll show that I'm like, I don't know, from the Antarctic or something like that. I'm an Inuit.
Well, I've always thought of myself as Swedish.
Ah, you have that look.
The blonde colouring.
Yeah.
So, so it's entirely possible. But I don't want to actually do the research.
I don't have the Inuit colouring.
I know this is an audio format, but I can confirm that.
Yeah, confirm that. If you think of someone that is from West Africa, I look like that. Just for the listeners at home, in case they're really confused about this very offensive woman. But yeah, there it is. Starting to feel uncomfortable. I'm not okay if she's speaking like this. Oh dear.
You're perhaps best known in improv circles anyway.
Wow. Am I like Oprah? I'm like Quantum Leap and I look in the mirror and I'm going to be like Madonna or Oprah or someone like that, or like Beyonce. You're best known, your back catalogue.
Is Derek's Mojo?
Oh, I hope I am in improv circles. Oh wow.
Who is Derek? What is his mojo about?
Well, let me just go backwards. You've asked me a question. I'm not going to answer it in order. So mojo is because Monica Gaga, that is me, and Jodie Ann Fletcher Richardson, that is my partner, my two-prov partner, and Derek, just because when we was just like starting to make this thing happen, Derek was a name that just kept coming up, really? Which is interesting, because I don't think it's one of those names, Derek, it's like one of those names that always comes up, but it just started coming up, and we thought, do you know what, Derek is generic man, if we need it. Most of the time we don't, but he's there if we need it, and it's Derek's Mojo, and it sounds kind of cool. So, well, I think it does.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we go.
So he's there if you need him.
Yeah, he's there if we need him.
In what way?
I suppose maybe for narrative purposes, we can bring him in. Our third partner. Although you can't really have a third partner.
No.
I'm making up as I go along. So yeah, there we go. It's improv. So there we go. So if we do need him for narrative purposes, he's there. But just because, I suppose it's a little bit for us. Derek's mojo. And also keeps people guessing. They're like, oh, where's Derek? Okay, there's Mo. There's Joe. Where's Derek? And we're like, we don't need him.
Ah. But he's there if we do need him.
Yeah.
So, I might be going down a...
Do it. Go down that road. I'm ready for it.
So you would generally bring in a character called Derek into your scenes if you needed him?
Yeah, he's just...
And is it always the same character?
Oh, no. So it's not like... Yeah, he's not like Derek. Are we ever going to meet him? Or I'm not sure if listeners remember Cow and Chicken... Or maybe Tom and Jerry, you know, when you can't ever see that character, you just see the legs of them or you just hear the voice of that person. It's not the same character, but Derek is just a name that just reoccurs.
Nice. So how did you meet? What was the initial idea? Why did you get together to perform?
Okay, so me and Jodie Ann were in a group called Improvisers Anonymous.
Right.
It was a short form group. We played theatre, sports, games. I've only recently learned the proper vocabulary for improv.
Oh, right.
So if you would have asked me back all those years then when we started that group, I would just be like, I'm in an improv group. I didn't have that vocabulary then. I was doing a TIE show, so a theatre and education show. I just came out of uni. I was going around schools doing a show called The Wex Factor.
Whoa.
Wow, it's about work experience.
Wow.
Almost 10 years on, I'm still doing it. 8 years on, it's still happening. I'm still cool. So going into secondary schools, I was with a gentleman there. He was part of the show. He then goes, I've got an improv group. Do you want to come and play? And I was like, I used to do it at youth theatre and I used to love it. And then it didn't happen anymore. So I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. So I joined them and that's how I met Jodie Ann. Things happen with improv groups. And then people have babies, our priorities change. People have partners. None of those things happen to me. So everyone moved on. We're still close friends.
Yeah.
Don't get to see each other as much as I think I should make an effort to. So me and Jodie Ann were the only ones that seemed to be free. So we make a rehearsal, no one was free, or people would pull out, but we just kept being the last ones standing. So it was just like, should we just meet on a day that we can do? We started just playing with stuff because we was doing short form games. Jodie Ann had she's got a long history on an improv career, so she was really into long form. That was something I probably did once. I didn't even realise I did it. It just happened. And she was just like, I like that. And I was like, but I like the short form games because I like playing games. I've been really lucky that I haven't stopped playing games since I was a child. And now I do it for a job. I work with young people and we just play games.
Oh, brilliant.
Which is awesome. And then as time went on, Derek's Mojo's format formed, and it's like hybrid improv with the bigger story being a long form narrative, and in between there we play short form games. We don't introduce the games, we just do it, and they're kind of just short scenes within itself, and then we go back into the Mo and Joe characters, and then carry on from the long form, play a standalone scene, and then go. Mo and Joe have then moved on in their the long form narrative, and it's just really, really fun. And that idea is mainly, I will credit that to Jodie Ann.
Right.
She's the brains. I'm the noise.
Hey! That's the two ingredients that every improv group needs.
Yeah,
the brains and the noise.
Bringing in the noise. Monica Gaga.
Are you not essentially not just doing a Harold?
Yes, I suppose we
in a weird kind of way.
Definitely in a weird kind of way. The only reason I kind of maybe know that is from listening to the podcast, and people have been mentioning them. But I didn't actually study the Harold or know what it was. Right. But essentially we're doing that, I suppose. Yeah, we are.
Sort of in the fact that you do a short form game, and then you do scenes which are inspired by the short form game.
Also, Oh, so the scenes are inspired by the short... Is the whole narrative in a Harold? Yep, please teach me. Go for it.
Well, I'm not an expert on the Harold, actually, so I
A
feel
few people at home will be going,
Stuart.
Actually, in scene 2.4, this is what happens.
Yes. Well, my understanding is that you have the short form games and they're interspersed with the long form scenes.
Oh, okay. And are they all one long narrative?
So you have.
You just said I'm not going to explain it to you, and then
now
I asked
you've tricked me into it.
I don't want to force you into anything you don't want to do.
My understanding is you start with a short form game, which can be word association, it can be an invocation, it can be all sorts of things, and then you have 3 scenes which are not connected. And then you have...
The 3 scenes are random, each will stand alone.
But I think they're inspired by the opening.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then you have another short form game, and then you have those 3 scenes repeated, but they've moved on in some way. So,
oh, okay. That's definitely an element of what Derek's Mojo do. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you have another... we should get someone on to talk about the Harold properly. And then I think
do that another episode. There we go.
That'd be,
drop that down.
That'd be good. Put that on the list. And I think you have another series of short form games, and then the scenes start to meet. So you might see the characters from the first scene meet characters from the second scene.
Oh, so it all comes together in the end, much like the film Crash.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not an expert on the Harold. So I rather regret accusing you of doing one by stealth.
No, I'm sure someone's sitting at home going, yeah, that sounds pretty Haroldy.
Broadly.
Yeah, definitely. Broadly. But whatever it is, in a world where maybe labels aren't so important, or we're not putting emphasis on that, do you know what? We're doing something, we're not saying we're the first people, but gosh, we're just having a really good time.
Brilliant.
I've got a lot of love for Jodie Ann. She brings a lot of joy in my life, and improv brings a lot of joy in my life, so there we go.
Yay! That's the important thing, joy.
Yeah.
So what's your favourite sort of short form game to play in Derek's Mojo?
What in Derek's Mojo? I'm enjoying the one word at a time stories.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's the first game that we'll play, and we do it quite a lot, so I just really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that over time, me and Jodie Ann have got closer, our minds are starting to meld, so we can speak as if we are one person, and it's not so staccato. Not that there's a problem with that, but yeah, I just really enjoy the fact that I genuinely don't know where it's going. Because sometimes I can be... oh, look at me just getting emotional. Sometimes I can be a bit of a control freak.
Really?
The things I want to be good at something, and I want to do it well, and I want to know all the elements of something, so I can sometimes plan ahead or feel like I have to carry something. I'm not just talking about improv, just in general. So doing the one word at a time story, it's a really nice way of just letting go.
Yeah.
Of just go, well, you don't know what's coming next, because Monica, you're actually going to have to shut up and let someone speak. And then you have a go, and then somebody else will speak. And then whatever happens, and you can't steer that.
Yeah. That sounds great. So when you get together to rehearse, how often do you rehearse?
So we try and get together twice a week.
Twice a week?
Yeah,
Brilliant.
even if it's just to hang out.
Yeah.
Life happens. Jodie Ann is an actress, so she has lots of things going on. I do a lot of youth work as well, so sometimes we can't do that. But our aim is always twice a week. And just touching base, just feeling like we are together. And then she's in Hong Kong at the moment.
Wow.
So yeah, just even touching base and being like, oh, it's been a long time since I've seen you. If we ever do have like a break, and just being like, yeah, how are you? Are you okay? Just checking in.
Cool.
Which is important, I feel.
Yeah, it's great when you've got that sort of human connection with the people you're improvising with. It just makes it so much more easy. So, cool. Derek's Mojo, I hope you don't mind me saying, they're quite ubiquitous.
Oh, in what way? Please expand.
Always performing.
Oh, okay.
There's always Derek's Mojo on the bill, which I think is a good thing. But how has this I'm kind of interested in the admin, the planning. How have you got so many shows?
Okay, so what happened was it was just me and Jodie-Ann just sitting in her flat, just having a little chat, playing a few games and things like that. And then as time's gone on, we've had the conversation when we've gone, are you ready to commit to this? Because I'm ready to commit. And then she's like, I'm ready to commit. Yeah, so we had the talk. Oh, right. So it's official.
Yeah.
And then from there, we just started workshopping things, trying out different formats. And then Jodie-Ann also has a background in accounting. So I say that just because she has that kind of mind for order. And just awareness of kind of admin and things like that. And if you know anything about finances, you need to. You need to be organised and know that. So we just split up the jobs. I spend a lot of time just being out. I'm quite a social person anyway. So I suppose if people see your face, and they're more likely to give you like gigs because you're out, you're going to the jams, you're going to see different shows, looking on Facebook groups for gigs, looking in places that maybe you wouldn't usually look at, like festivals or even like the comedy circuit, to see what gigs are out there, and just asking, hey, we've got this thing going on, are we a bit of what you fancy? And they're like, well, they don't answer, which is cool. Or they get back to us and say, no, this is not it. Or they go, yeah, you can come and play. But I just say to improv teams out there, or solo probs out there, just ask. Google, ask people. When you go to a gig, go, oh, where's this venue? Where's that venue? There's loads of places that we didn't know. And then we just spoke to people and then we found out. And I feel like rehearsing is important, hanging out is really important, but also just performing is important. Obviously having a balance, not being everywhere all the time. We're a lot of places, but not everywhere all the time. So we can start building our crafts, because I want to get to the point where every time I'm hitting every time. I'm not, but I want to get to that point, when I'm like building my craft, because I just love it. I love it so much. So, so get yourself out there. Email people. And my name is Monica Gaga on Facebook. So if you want to just message me and say, oh, what are these venues? Do that. Or visit www.dereksmojo.com. And on our website, we've got all the places we've performed. Just contact them yourself. You don't even have to go through us. Do that with other improv groups. See where they're going. Be like, if they're going there, you guys can definitely go there as well.
That's a brilliant idea. That's a really good idea. And also, as you say, just getting out and about and talking to people is a great way of...
And it's not a job because, well, if you love improv, you want to go to the jams, you want to see shows, you want to see people and go, oh my gosh, they're so amazing! Like, wow! Yes! And you're speechless. Yeah, because if you're doing jams or going to shows as a chore, then you're doing it wrong. But I suppose I don't need to point that out to people. You're doing it wrong if you're just doing it as a chore. You should be doing it because you enjoy it. Because you're not getting paid. Life is short. Do what you want to do as long as you're not hurting others and as long as you're not hurting yourself. It's really important.
Cool. So you're also a part of Duck Duck Goose.
Yes! Oh, this was super exciting. Duck Duck Goose have been on this podcast multiple times, different people. So please listen to them. But I was so happy, like, when they asked me to be part of the team, which is just awesome, because Duck Duck Goose has a jam every Monday at the Afro Social in Brixton at 8 o'clock. They have a jam, 2-person scenes, it's free, and they also have acts that you can just sit back and watch, so you can be part of the show or just watch the show, which is awesome. And it was just awesome to go to, and I used to sit there, enjoy it, and think, what you guys are doing is awesome. The way that they're creating such a safe space. I could see the time that they put into doing little things, like be it the music, be it the lights, be it the structure. It all seemed, like, from an audience point of view, it all just seemed really thought out. And I was just like, I see what you're doing. And I see that maybe sometime, with a jam, you can't control it, obviously. And that's the beauty of improv. But maybe if something happened, they thought, do you know what? This might not be okay for someone. I see them checking in as well. And I'm just thinking, yes, you're putting a lot of thought into this, and this is a big thing. So time's gone on, and then I've been going to the jam whenever I could between works and stuff, and then getting to know the team. And then when they asked me, I felt like it was just completely out of the blue, but I was also like, this is so awesome. I think you guys are like awesome, and then to be part of that is just, it's just absolutely great.
Yeah, it's, as you say, it's a really well thought out night. And I think my favourite thing that they do is in the jams, and it is with the jam captains. And I know that when I was less confident jamming at Duck Duck Goose, I was always looked after, and if I hadn't been in anything, someone would draw me in. Ed JD was always particularly good at that. Well, everyone was good at it, but I just remember him particularly doing it to me, and it meant a lot to me at that stage in my improv journey because, you know, I'd gone along, but, you know, it's easy. Jams are hard, and, you know, it's good to know that you've got people there just looking out for you and making sure you do get to do something, you know.
And I suppose at the time when I was like going there, being an audience member, I was seeing you put a lot of thought into this. Sasha was going, is that just by accident because you're just a nice person? And I was just like, oh, I love the way that you're dragging. I didn't at the time know that there was jam captains that were there just to
well, that's
support.
the nice thing.
Yeah, I was like, it's great that
subtle.
I saw that you brought that person in, and it made me think, do you know what? Yeah, I want to be like that, and I'm gonna try and bring people in as well, just to. And it's also like pro-social modelling of like just being like, this is a good way. This is one great way to be. Why don't you try it? And I also think it's just improv in general, in the most part, in my experience, it's just such a warm and welcoming community. Yeah. And I felt like I'm really lucky because I found it just at the right time in my life, going through some really difficult things, feeling a little bit lost, and then be able to go to different jams and felt so looked after, but not in a kind of like looking down on you way, poor you, just like they're just being nice human beings. They like being here. They want to get you involved. It's just, it's really beautiful. And I was just some days having not really good days and then going to the jams and just going, do you know what? You genuinely, I feel like you have actually saved my life.
Yeah.
Like just having that, it's just, it's just really beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I'm part of it because I think part of my personality is quite mothering as well. So it's really nice to be able to, to be part of that officially. I would just talk to anyone anyway. If I see someone on their own, I would always just go and speak like, hey, is this your first time? Because you know what it was like when it's your first time.
It's hard, isn't it?
And it's hard meeting people as an adult.
Yeah.
You're like, how do you make friends?
Yeah. That is something that I've thought about a lot. And, you know, when you're a child, it's like, oh, do you want to be friends? And then you suddenly are friends and it's fine. But as an adult, how do people meet people?
It's so difficult, and then you start talking to someone, and then sometimes you think, oh, do they think I'm coming on to them? Or maybe people think the vice versa, or do people think, oh, that's a bit weird. I suppose don't like making eye contact on the tube, you don't talk to people. You can go for so long without talking to anyone and not touching anyone, not having that like human contact with people because you're just going to work and coming back. But what I love about the improv community or scene is that you can just go up and talk to someone.
Yes.
You can go to somewhere on your own and then feel included. It's like, well, I've never experienced this, but imagine, I suppose, you go into your local pub, you go there for a pint, and you know that you're not going to plan to meet that person. You might see that guy that's always at the bar, or you might speak to the barmaid or the barman, the bar person, the bar staff, the bar team. So it's got that great community of just being like, we've got your back. Let's just hang out and play. Yeah,
and you know that you're going to have some, similar approaches to the way you do things. So there should be some sort of common ground.
Yeah, I really believe in the power of play. I feel like sometimes the way that society, I feel, works in this country tries to push play out of you and tries to push being silly out of you as well.
Yeah.
I hope I'm quite a measured person, but I always just, promoting play, promoting silliness, promoting sometimes not taking yourself so seriously. Like, you've got to bring in the fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
you lose it as an adult because you've got to be a certain way sometimes. Well, sometimes I feel like that is crushing down on me and I'm like, no, I want to play. This is totally fun and I can still be professional.
Yes, definitely. Maybe we could explore, how did you discover improv in the first place?
So when I was younger, I went to a youth theatre in Hillingdon, and the way that they worked was a lot of improv. So I learned improv through there. I went to a summer scheme when I was like 11, and then carried it on until I was 18 and went to uni. And then I did some volunteering as well as I got a little bit old. I think in like the last year, maybe when I was like between 16 and 17, I volunteered at youth theatre because I loved it so much.
Yeah.
Again, I love that sense of community, that sense of belonging. There was times when I was younger and I was at school and I felt really like pushed out, and I felt like I didn't have that. Everyone else was part of something, and I was that kind of like floater that would be part of everyone but really part of nothing. And having that youth theatre, that community, was just so lovely. And I feel like going to the power of play and that group purpose is really, really important. Positive group purpose, obviously.
Yes.
So yeah, that was awesome. And then I was at uni, and it was the summer of uni, and then the youth leader, he was just like, oh, we need a female worker because we're going on a trip. And I was just like, I identify as female, I'll go. I was like, yeah, so we're going to Chicago, Second City for 2 weeks. And I was just like, yes.
Wow.
What was awesome, because before then, I was volunteering for free. A job actually came up. I went for it. I didn't get the job. It's like, the job was doing what I was doing anyway, but the way that I filled out the application form, you know, when you've got to tick certain boxes, I did not tick those boxes with the answers I gave, so they couldn't even give me an interview.
Oh, no.
But I still carried on doing it because I was like, it'll be cool if I get paid to do this, but if not, I'm going to carry on just doing it for free because I enjoy it. My mum used to say, wow, you're not getting paid for it. And like, that other person's got the job, but you're really doing the work. I was like, I don't care, I really love it. She's like, well, if you love it, crack it on. Thank you, mother, always very supportive. And then it came of this, so I got to go to Second City. The young people got to have a 2-week course as professional development, us as leaders, which I thought was hilarious because I think I was like 19 at the time. And like the youngest person was 18. I mean, the oldest person was 18, so it was between 17 and 18. And we got a week class at Second City.
Wow.
It was so awesome. And they paid us to be there because it was work.
Yeah.
And then they paid for everything: accommodation, food, snack, tips. Not tips for us, tips for like the culture of America at that time. And it was just so awesome, and we just had such a blast. So yeah, that was really awesome. So yeah, give out to the universe. I definitely believe it will give back to you.
Yeah.
Life sometimes can be so cruel, but you got to give it out because I hope it's going to come back to you.
Yeah.
And in that instance, it did.
Yeah.
So that was so awesome.
I know, I've spoken to various people, many people that have gone to Second City, but nobody else has got paid to go.
I know, as a 19-year-old.
That's very
impressive.
That's
it was so awesome. But yeah, who I work for, I think they do a lot for young people, and it's just awesome. So yeah, that's how I got into improv, and then I went to uni, had a massive break. At uni, I did community theatre because since I was quite young, I was just like, oh, I like drama. I think I like at the time I just called them kids. I like kids, so maybe I'll do something to do with drama and kids. And then I went to East 15 acting school and I did community theatre because I was just like, oh, there's a course exactly for that. So I applied to a couple, got into a couple, but East 15 seemed like a place for me. So I did that. There wasn't really any improv. And then, like I said, I did some theatre and education, and the guy was like, come join our group. And I was like, that's cool. And yeah.
Brilliant.
It was just, it's awesome.
Excellent.
Thank you, improv, for coming into my life. Oh, actually, no, I need to thank someone. Thank you, my grandmother, Ina Gaga, a very forceful, blunt Russian woman, who, on my protest, when I was in the summer of going from year 6 to year 7, so that's going from primary school to secondary school, forced me to go on a 1-week drama course. I did not want to do it over the summer because I did not know anyone, and I did not want to do drama because I didn't do it except for maybe like school plays or whatever that you're forced to do. Never did anything, and she was just like, just go. And then she brought me in, and I didn't want to be in. I had the face on. Imagine whatever that looks like. And then she saw another young person. She's like, this is my granddaughter. And I was just like, oh my gosh, how dare you speak to another young person? I'm so embarrassed. We was, of course, like friends for the whole week or whatever. So thank you. She helped me find drama in that sense. So it was awesome that she was just like, nah, I see something in you and you're going.
Sometimes you just need that.
No, yeah, definitely.
Cool, excellent. You're also involved with piggyback.
Yeah.
Tell me about the piggyback concept.
So the piggyback concept...
and your part in it.
Yeah, my part in it. So piggyback is a type of show. How it goes is there are usually 3 stand-up comedians. One will go on, and then we as a group, we will take inspiration from their set. Yeah. We will do the first of 3 parts of a long-form show, and then we'll come off, and then we'll have another stand-up, and then we'll come on again, carry on that story, remembering obviously everything that we've done from there, and then also pulling in things from the second stand-up, go off again, and then there's going to be a third stand-up on, and then we all tie it up right there at the end. Are you
not essentially doing a Harold?
Always. There we go.
Oh no, I just feel I walked into that trap.
Everything essentially is a Harold. Life is a Harold. I've also, just to put it back on you, sir, Stuart Moses, when listening to your podcast, I noticed that maybe Harolds aren't something that would be at the top of your love improv list.
That's true, actually.
Yeah.
I think people are obsessed with... Actually,
I think you.
I think I'm obsessed with that. I think I'm in denial.
Yeah, I have not mentioned Harold, and on 2 occasions.
It's odd, Stuart. For someone that dislikes them so much, you spend a lot of time talking about them. Maybe you are a Harold lover.
Yeah, or maybe you're just trying to put everything connected into a Harold. Seems like a Harold to me. Is that your catchphrase, or is it "I am the Shadow Lord"?
The Shadow Lord.
Sorry, just to give context to that, and if you're totally okay with it, please stop me if you do not consent. Stuart Moses has genuinely just almost fell off his chair. The kind of person I am, to give context to me, is I didn't even go to help him. I just watched him. There is a little rug down there on the floor. I am the Shadow Lord was a quote from Stuart Moses when he attended one of the Duck Duck Goose shows, and he was just bringing back that character, and it was just awesome. It was like the line of the show, and of course, being the line of the show, it got onto the Duck Duck Goose mailer.
Yes, it certainly
a coveted position.
Yeah, no, that was that's when I thought, I've arrived on the improv scene.
I love that. I have arrived.
So I don't know.
So I was just putting into the fact that your denial of the fact that you loved a Harold or some kind of obsession. You might not love it, but there's a strong connection.
Well,
but moving on, piggyback.
No, I was going to talk about the Shadow Lord.
I was going to talk about the Harold. Please talk about the Shadow Lord.
I just want to talk about the Shadow Lord. I can't remember if I've talked about this on the podcast before, but it was the moment when I thought, oh, jams are fun. I've realised that jams are fun.
Because previously,
I'd not really enjoyed them.
Yeah.
I'd sort of carried on doing them because I thought if I carry on doing them long enough, eventually I will stop hating them and I will enjoy it.
Sorry to interject, so I'll put a pin in it. I'm good at remembering some things. It's interesting, previously on this podcast, you said that if people go into things and not enjoying them, they're doing it wrong.
Yes, that's a good point. I think it's perfectly legitimate never to jam.
Yeah.
You can be in the improv scene and never jam, and that's perfectly fine.
Of course. Do as you wish.
Yes. I felt that it was something that the more I did, I would hate it slightly less each time.
Okay. You wanted to get that love. You saw the benefits that you might reap from that experience, and you was playing the long game.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I respect you for that. It's difficult putting yourself in a situation where you're like, I'm not sure if I want to do this, and you're an adult, and you don't have to. And you did it. Good you. Go you.
Yeah, and I feel that I've done some of the worst improv ever at a Duck Duck Goose jam.
Did you feel safe?
Yeah, but this is the whole thing.
And you felt okay to do that?
Yeah, and nobody cared.
Yes.
Nobody even remembered.
Yes.
It lingered in my mind. Nobody else cared.
Yeah.
Nobody asked me to hand in my badge and my gun and chuck me out of improv because I've done some terrible improv. It's just like, it's gone. It doesn't matter.
Also, in your mind, obviously, I wasn't there to experience it, but yeah, you're telling the story. You're the author.
So anyway, the Shadow Lord was just... it was just... I think the suggestion was shadow, so I just walked on and went, I'm the Shadow Lord. And then... It was really nice because I got to come back later on when... Oh, so there was a scene where I was just playing another character, and one of the main people in the scene identified me as the Shadow Lord. So I got to say, this isn't my scene, or something like that. And then there was my favourite thing was when two people, I can't remember who it was, they were debating whether they were in the afterlife or some sort of void. So I was just able to come and go, I am the Shadow Lord, you are in a void, and then just like leave the set.
It was awesome. It was you. It wasn't even the fact that you was allowed to. You saw the opportunity to bring something back that you was really enjoying, and you just went with it and you played with it. And the joy you got from it, obviously it being not obviously, but it was at the right time as well. Just made it great for the audience, and we want to hear your catchphrase. Come on and do it. We're willing. Yeah, it was really awesome, and I'm so glad there was a point where you felt yes.
Yeah, I thought, oh, this is fun. And then Johnny Bryars managed to construct it. Yeah, beautiful human being. Managed to construct it so that, I can't remember what he said now, but he constructed it so that all I had to do was walk on the stage, go, I am the Shadow Lord, and then the lights blacked out. And
it was great. He's a really supportive player.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
And that was awesome. And I feel like if no one takes anything away from the podcast, please take away the fact that there is a safe place, and Duck Duck Goose is not the only safe place to jam. There is loads of people that are doing fantastic work.
Yes,
but there's a safe place to just try something, but you're allowed to not get it right.
Yes.
You're allowed to not be a success, which is difficult sometimes as an adult because you've got to a certain age, so you should be achieving this or that, or be good at everything and know everything. And no, this is a safe place to just mess around and fall flat on your face and then get up again because we've got you.
Yeah, definitely. But you were talking about piggyback.
I was talking about the concept and how it's pretty much like a Harold. Well, as you mentioned, your obsession.
For someone that knows so little about it, I spend a lot of time talking about it. The only reason I talk about it a lot is that I feel a lot of people are doing it.
Yep.
And it's fine. Okay, a good or a great Harold I suppose it's like any form. If it's good, then it's good, and that's fine. I just would want more people to do different things and think just because you're doing Harold, that's an option and that's perfectly legitimate. But there's so many other things, and I would love to see people exploring other formats and stuff.
Maybe just the fact, it's not the Harold per se. It could have been anything. It's just, you want to see that option and variety. And do you know what? It is out there. There's lots of different things. Although they're trying to be different things, but they're all just really rehashes of Harold.
I come along and say, isn't that just essentially a Harold by stealth?
That is your I am a Shadow Lord, isn't it, in life? So I love it. It's awesome. But yeah, it was another group piggyback when Audra asked me, be like, hey, do you want to come and maybe audition / play with us? I was just like, yes, because it's really beautiful when you someone that you see that you think's awesome and you feel like they're doing really great work and they're nice human beings, awesome human beings, sorry.
Upgrade to awesome.
Yeah, no, definitely. And they go, do you know what? Do you want to be part of something? And I'm like, yes, I do want to be part of you. And it's just so beautiful being part of groups, being part of Derek's Mojo, being part of Piggyback, being part of Duck Duck Goose, being allowed to be part of New Zealand. We'll speak about that later. Being given the opportunity to host at Hoopla, or just feeling part of something. It's just, I'm just looking to be part of something.
Brilliant.
I've got a lot of love to give.
Excellent.
So guys, come speak to me. Let's make the world a better place.
Let's do that.
One game at a time. One Harold.
One Harold at a time. If it needs to be a Harold to make the world a better place, I'm prepared to do it. We're going to have to do a lot of Harold to make this world a better place, but I'm prepared to do it. Or other formats. There are other formats as well out there. The thing with Piggyback, really interesting idea. Mm-hmm. So, if you've got a stand-up that's essentially doing your opening game, whatever, so they've already distilled the comedy of the situation into what they're talking about.
Yep.
How do you then take what they've done? Because they've already said the funny thing about it. How do you then take it and make it into improv?
I feel like it's just a stimulus, it's just an inspiration. So someone's done something, it's really awesome, but then I suppose it's like when you have friends and you have that banter of like, you say one thing, oh my gosh, that makes me think of another thing, which might be quite similar. So I might, I don't know, replay what you're talking about but in a different way, or that one word in something else will make me think of something that might seem a million miles away but actually is connected. So you come to the format of the piggyback show, you're going to have a great show. It's going to be awesome. You're going to see some stellar stand-ups, but also you're just going to see us going, what you did was awesome. Can we build on that? And to add to that, and to piggyback of that, there we go. And yeah, piggyback and trying something new. So that's a long show. That's a whole night. And we're trying out some new formats. Trying different things. You like that, do you, Mr.
do like
Moses?
that. I do like. Approved.
Thanks for that stamp of approval. So watch this space with Piggyback.
Cool. Yeah. Excellent. Exciting times. And you mentioned New Zealand.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
New Zealand is, in my opinion, what the improv scene needs. A little bit of what the improv scene needs. It needs a lot of things to make variety. But yeah, it needs it. New Zealand runs a night and also gets improvisers together. Improvisers that are from Black, African, Caribbean backgrounds. So people of colour, if you like to use that term. If you don't, because you might not want to. Or BAME, if you like to use that term. At the moment, I don't have the vocabulary for it, so I'm using people of colour. I'm using BAME, but I'm not sure I'm okay with what that is, but that's a different podcast, which I might start, who knows. Listen to Monica Gaga speak of race. It'll just be a 1-minute podcast, so I'm sure it'll only take a minute to pick that apart. But yeah, so it's given an opportunity to just say there are some really awesome people of colour on the scene, and here they are, all in one place, which I joke about, that usually I'm the only black person there when I look around at theatres and shows and things like that, but most of the time I am. Most of the time I am the only non-white person, which is fine because we live in the UK, which I'm totally fine with that, but it's not a depiction of our society. And we're just hearing, if we only have one type of person, I'm not just bringing colour into it, if we only have one type of person, you're only hearing one type of voice. It's like when you go on Facebook and all your Facebook friends have the same opinion. So when you see stuff, there's all stuff you go like. But what about the person that thinks completely different to you? You might not agree with them, or they might just have a new angle. But if you don't even know they exist, you don't hear it, how can your life be influenced by that? So I think they're just doing, like, it's awesome work to be like, oh, hey, there's some great improvisers. And what I love about them, and I am going to talk about race and colour, as a Black, African, British female, I find that sometimes I have maybe I feel a little bit insecure. I'll put it out there. Thanks for making a safe space for that. That am I picked for something because I'm female? Am I picked for something because I'm Black, African, British? Do you need to add a little bit of colour to your lineup? Do you need to have diversity? Do you need a picture that's got me so people like me are felt reflected in me, in advertising and media, and information I picked up from a colleague? Or is it because you need me as an improviser? I'm on a journey. I do believe all of those things make up parts of my identity, because obviously I've experienced life in a certain way because I am a certain way, just like you've experienced life in a certain way because you're a certain way, and different things have happened to you, which, no one can truly know what everyone's gone through. But I think, are you just picking me because you think I'm good, or do you just need to, wouldn't it be great to have this, because it would be great to just have all the colours and everything there. But New Zealand, I feel like they put on a really good show. And yes, it's people of colour. Yes, it's people from the BAME community. But they're also good. And I feel like, no, I'm not just there because I'm black. I'm there because you feel like I can add something to this. And it just feels like, yes, we need that. And I think that's just so important. So I'm so glad that they're just like, hey, do you want to be part of this? And I'm just like, yeah. I don't want to be the only black woman in the room. So it's awesome.
So it's a team as well as a night, or
yeah. So they run a night. They have a team, and they also have special delivery. So the team New Zealand, the reason because New Zealand, the country, has a rugby team called the All Blacks.
I did not know.
So that's just a play on words. That it's not advertised, but just like that's a little in joke for us,
because
New Zealand is spelled NUZ. and then land. So that was a play on words of that. And they have special delivery where they incorporate a BAME cast, so people that are non-white, which is just awesome, just to have a collective of being like, you look like me, and you also don't look like me, and this is great just to have that, these different experiences, these different cultures all put together.
Yeah. And how is it different improvising with that group of people?
I feel like when I'm improvising with other black people, I feel like different topics might come up, and they're okay to tackle those topics of race, for not fear of being racist, which of course people have got to be sensitive to things, especially if you don't identify as that thing. But we can go to places maybe that with people that aren't black, this scene wouldn't have happened probably because they wouldn't have want to put me in that position, or we wouldn't have come up with that topic. Or there's certain things from a culture, like certain ways of acting or certain experiences that you can bring in, and people when I say something, they understand that thing. That doesn't just come from being black, obviously. But sometimes you have that commonality of things, because people will say stuff and I'll be like, yeah, I'm black, but I don't know about that. Sorry, it's not just a card for like everything. Oh, so you can do this and that. No, it's just my experience. I'm a collection of my experiences and the way that I've been treated. But yes, that's really awesome. And I think for me and my journey just as a human being, it's awesome because I grew up in a multicultural household. Probably the only black person I probably spoke to or even socialised with was my mum.
Right.
Because the rest of my family are not black, or they're mixed race. And then when I was growing up at the time at my school, it was mainly British, white British, because I identify as British as well, young people. As I got older that changed, but I didn't have a lot of black friends.
Right.
So yeah, it's just awesome, really. And it's important to me. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. I'm always very conscious because I obviously want to celebrate who I am and the fact that I want to see more like me, but I'm not saying that, why is everyone white? I'm not about that, and I'm not about excluding people, because difficulties everything's all relative, and people have gone through different things. But I need that sometimes. It's awesome to have that little bit of difference.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. And you've also been hosting at Hoopla.
I know!
Tell me about that.
Thank you, Improv, so much for just bringing me joy in my life. Lots of things bring me joy, but Improv is one of the big suppliers of joy, the joy deliverer. So Hoopla have been awesome. Some people at Hoopla have just seen me playing and maybe just talking, and are like, we like your vibe. And we feel like your vibe is the kind of thing that would work for hosting. And I was a bit like, me? I just want to play. And I'll come and watch if you want. And then they had this hosting workshop just through a little breakdown in communication confusion. I didn't get the Facebook message, so I didn't know it was on, so I missed that. But Hoopla are awesome. They're just great, supportive, just genuine human beings that know that that happens sometimes. They're like, yeah, we still think you'll be cool. We've seen you play before, so just go and watch someone host. So one of the other Hoopla hosts kindly let me just kind of shadow them. I was the shadow lord just for a little bit.
I give you dominion over the shadows.
Thank you. That's awesome. And then I was just like, here's a night. Would you like to do this? And I was just like, yeah. My first night was just really nerve-wracking because I wanted to obviously support the other acts that were on, and also support the name that is Hoopla, and give people a good show. Because I always I want people to have a really good time, because I have a good time, so I want people to have a good time. Bit shaky, but I felt like it went well. But I've done a handful of hosting gigs, and I genuinely have put in effort of looking at different teams, if they're performing and I'm hosting, of going to them and being like, is there certain things that you want me to say or don't want me to say? Because for example, a team might be something, and then they're trying something new, and then I go, oh, I love this team because they do Harold's. We're like, today we're not doing Harold's.
They are doing a Harold. They think they're not, but they are doing one. Anyway.
So yeah, I've been putting a lot of effort into it and just thinking about things that I want to do and the kind of like vibe I want to bring and just be like my authentic self as well. So I'm putting on a show, but yeah, it's just putting my best foot forward. And I feel like putting in the time has been really paying off.
Yeah.
I've got a long way to go
when
it comes to hosting, but I'm just so glad. Thank you so much, Hoopla, for giving me that opportunity because it's been awesome.
Yes.
I say awesome a lot, and you're going to find that out.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of hosting for Hoopla, and it's a lot of fun, but it's different. Obviously, being an improviser, you feel a lot more comfortable on stage, and you are able to react in the moment. But there is more to it than just that, as you
Definitely.
say. There's,
it's not about the show. Is not about you.
Yeah,
and it's difficult because
you want it to be about you.
Yeah, I've always been that. I've been that child of just like, who wants to do that? I do. I know the answer. Do you even know what you're doing? No, but I'll give it a go with enthusiasm. Oh, here she goes again. Someone put her to sleep. Let her have a nap. But yeah, because you need to support the acts that are on stage. You also need, there's a fine line. Yeah, you might be funny. You might believe that you're funny, which is sometimes in my case. But it's not about you. Yeah. And there might be a joke, but taking it not too far and making sure that you bring up, you warm up the energy of the audience. You make them feel like they're going to have a great time. Yeah. It's a safe space. And also warming up the for the acts as well. Because then if you don't warm up the audience and you kind of leave them into a dead space, they've just then got to crank it up. Yeah. And then by the time it's cranked up, their set is gone and they've warmed up for the next people. Yeah. So, yeah, it's been difficult. And also, being an improviser, I've been battling with, I said something funny and that worked. Can I say it again?
Ooh.
Because I was speaking to someone else and they said, yeah, definitely. You know that thing you did, you should do it again. And I was just like, but can I? Because I've only done a handful.
Yeah.
So far, I've just been like, either something's come off the cuff or on the way to Hoopla, I'm thinking, okay, well, how am I feeling today? What kind of vibe? What am I wearing? What kind of wordplays can I go from? But yeah, can I repeat stuff? I've written some things down, but I'm not ready to repeat things yet when hosting.
Yeah. And that's actually interesting because that's something I've been wrestling with.
Oh.
Because
you're not alone, honey. I'm here.
That's nice. That's reassuring to hear. When I've been performing with Bryn doing Dr. Improv, there is...
Hello, Bryn. You're amazing. Thank you for bringing joy.
You are amazing. Thank you for the joy you bring. Thank you for the music, the song we're singing. There is a line that I use when we do the show, and I have done it 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, am I allowed to do that? Gets a laugh. It's a funny line. Sort of funny line. I'll tell you what, I'll say it here.
Oh.
And then I'll have burnt it and I can't use it anymore.
Are you sure you want to do that?
Yes, because I want to stop. I don't know. I think I want to stop. It's just the one line. It's not like the whole show is scripted. Yeah. Everything else is made up on the spot. But there's just a line that I say when we come on, because we're playing 2 security guards. We're having a break, and I say something like, "Oh, how long's the break going to be? Oh, I imagine it'll be about 12 minutes. If it's going really well, 15 minutes at the most, because that's the slot that we've got for the show." You see, it's not funny when I do it now.
In context,
yeah, definitely. In context, it kills. Okay, but because I'm doing that slightly meta, like we know we've got a 12-minute slot, 15 minutes at the most, sort of thing. And is that right to do?
I'm not one to question you. I'm not some kind of improv deity that says what. That's why I was here.
That's why you're on. I thought,
oh no,
yeah, Monica, she's an improv deity. I better get some improv deities on. It's the 104th episode. If I don't have an improv deity, people are going to stop listening. Aren't they?
Oh no, you're not delivering. That's one of my fears, of disappointing people, and it's coming true. You do what you want to do, because at the end of the day, when you get into it and you're playing, it definitely is improv. That's just kind of like the framework of the show. Like, for example, when Showstoppers, because I'm going to ally you with them, pretty much sure that's...
I'm going to take that and I'm going to own it.
I'm sure there's some parts of the start of the show, because I've seen quite a few of their shows. You guys are great. You know that. You might not know that, but you're awesome.
They are amazing.
Where the framework you might repeat things, because it makes it clear, or you need to deliver a certain framework of things. But the main show is, I don't think you should beat yourself up about it, and don't get too much into your head, because do you know what, if it works and it feels good, and we're not the police of like how to play, just do it.
Yes, and I think that's it. I think if it's part of the kind of the framework and it's kind of just the getting the structure in place, I think that's probably all right. It's not as if we're planning. It would be harder. This is the whole thing with improv. In many ways, it would just be harder to plan these things.
Oh no, definitely.
And then to try and negotiate to get to the thing that you planned.
That's probably why you don't like Harold's, because it's difficult. You've got to stay by the rules.
The reason I don't like Harold's is I think I would be terrible at them. That's why I don't like Harold's.
Harold's are really silly. I wouldn't want to do that anyway.
That's why I won't want people to do them anymore, because I think it's a lot of things to keep in your head. Yeah. And I'm not very good at keeping lots of things in my head.
It's kind of, I suppose with improv, you'd be like, we literally can't make this stuff up. Yeah, you couldn't make this stuff up. You couldn't plan it. But yeah, so that's something that I'm battling with hosting. But I suppose if I was a stand-up comic,
yes, exactly
and
a compare.
I
presume that was a really posh way of saying compare. I was going to pick you up on that.
Definitely.
I was going to start using that. Do
it. They have a set, so but. And some people said that, do you know what, maybe you should try stand-up. I am not brave enough.
Really?
Because just you.
Yeah.
And people are going, go on, let's see how good you are.
Yeah.
And we'll show you. And if you're not good, we'll also show you as well. I'm not ready to be broken down like that. Maybe when I don't know, 90 years old.
Right.
I'll get there.
Yeah. I love improv because it's the collaboration, it's the working together to create a shared universe that you can create on your own. Mm-hmm. So even if I could do stand-up, and I'm not sure that I could, I mean, just be like a type 5 about how I hate Harold's. And to be honest, most of that would be taken up with explaining badly what a Harold is. I wouldn't even be able to explain it properly. By the time I'd explained it,
time would be gone.
I'd be going, and I'd be blacked out.
But it's amazing what stand-up comics do.
Yes.
And just the fact that the drive that they must have to have hundreds of gigs, and they're doing it alone. They're just up there. So hurrah to you guys.
Yes, well done.
No, it's a tough scene. And maybe sometimes, from what I've heard from some people, can sometimes not be as supportive as the improv scene.
That's very much the impression that I have.
Yeah. And obviously, despite being a deity,
an improv deity,
I do not see and know all, unfortunately, in all things. I'm not a stand-up deity, so there we go. But yeah, so I've got that feeling. But yeah, I'm going to go back, tie it back to the sense of belonging, the sense of having somewhere to be, the sense of it's okay if you fail, and even if you don't feel like that, we're going to keep being there for you. So when it happens, see it was okay, and then it happens again, and it's still okay, and it happens again, and you're still okay. You are enough, and I love that. Yeah. I love it so much.
I read something, and I wish I could find out what it was when I first started getting involved in improv, and it was a blog, and someone had written, "Improv can't fix you because you're not broken."
Yes.
And I know that's a kind of a phrase that they'd adapted for improv, and I just thought, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the improv scene, in my experience, has just been so accepting, like, of, as long as you're giving out positive vibes, it's just so accepting, and you're enough, it's okay to be you.
Yeah.
You can start to feel like your true self, so that's really awesome. And it's just, I feel like it's really, especially in the last couple of years, it's really helped me grow as a person and be like more accepting with myself, like emotionally and also physically as well. Like, it's okay that you take up space, because I'm a larger woman. Most of the time I take up space, I accidentally knock people. I'm like, I can't help it, I'm just here. Or if I'm in a chair, you'll probably feel me touching you because I'm larger than most people. And you're just like, actually, over the past couple of months, just seeing people being awesome, being themselves, and being accepted for that, I'm going, do you know what? If I do a running scene, I am definitely going to jiggle. Yes, I might knock someone out with something, but do you know it's okay? Yeah. That's okay, because this is just who I am. This is my body, and it moves like this, or I talk like this, or I don't know. Sometimes I just get really hyper about positive things. I'm like, everything's so awesome, and people aren't like, oh, turn it down. Just like, oh, you're so extra. You're too loud. You're too much. I'm just like, I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. And obviously, I'm not, well, not obviously, because you don't truly know me, everyone, unless you're listening, mother, which you will be. You're very supportive. I'm not like this all the time, but I'm glad that it gives me that energy and that positivity and that can-do, that yes and attitude that I try and live my life through. And I work with vulnerable young people, and also I try and impart that onto them as well. And I feel like it really helps with my work as well, supporting young people, which is great. Some would say awesome. Some people like me, because I love using that word.
It's awesome. It is awesome. If it's awesome, call it awesome. That's what I say.
Totes.
That's not a thing I say, but I'm going to start saying it.
Yeah, you've said it now, so you've said it.
It's a thing I say. If someone were to step on stage with you in a jam or in a show, what could they do to delight you?
Just roll with the punches. I think it's so awesome when I'm on stage with someone or I'm seeing someone, and no matter what you say or what crazy thing I do, because I'm super nervous, and when I get nervous, I get loud, I get passionate, and the enthusiasm just runs through, and whatever it is, they seem to just take everything in their stride. There's too many people that I would name and then forget their name, so I'm not going to say, but yeah, some people that just, whatever comes, they just take it. And I'm just like, you're so awesome. That's great. And it just delights me of just the yes and just going with it.
Cool. Excellent. And then the big final question,
Yay.
Which will not come as a surprise if you've listened to the podcast before.
This is a test if you've listened.
If you've listened. What's your signature move? What's classic Gaga? She saved the day again, doing her classic move, brings the house down every time, saves the day.
I would say, and sometimes it doesn't bring the house down, but it may be what it would need to end the scene or the show. I feel like go hard or go home.
Yeah.
I'm big, I'm loud, I'm brash, and I'll deliver that, and I'll deliver it with 100%. And people sometimes are maybe startled by that, and that startlement might turn into entertainment. But they're just like, wow, you just went for it. And yeah. So yeah, go hard or go home. So that's my move. But in the future, when you get me on for the 200th and 8th episode...
I'll have you on before that.
Yay!
208 episodes, I'm sorry. Let's take a moment. I'm like, I don't know. Even though I am enjoying it, 208, that seems a lot.
Do you know what? This reminds me of a moment. I'm going to come back to this, sorry. This reminds me of a moment, when in Friends, I've watched all the Friends episodes, and then you start again and you see a moment and they're like, oh, I'd never do this, and you're like, you will, you don't know. So please, you're going to cut that quote, and it's going to be like on the 1,000th episode, it's going to be on there. It's going to be there.
You were talking about what you were going to do in the future.
Yeah, so in the future, I've got a lot of energy from nervousness most of the time, but I really want to be the people that I see that have that beautiful slow burn, that people that can just take the things in their stride, and it's just like cool running, and just trusting myself that is enough. And I'm going to get to that point. Positive thinking, and they're going to be like, Monica Gaga, she's so crazy, but then remember she did that and it just really took a step back. I need that light and dark.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for being a guest on the Improv London podcast.
Yay! Awesomeness.
I made this.
That's improv!